Aatif, welcome to the Democratizing SEO podcast. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great, Austin. Thanks for having me here today.
Oh, pleasure to have you on. I wanted to talk today about SGE and whether or not it will be a win for businesses. SGE being search generative experience, and because it's very new and upcoming, in fact, I think this will be something that a lot of SEOs and businesses will be thinking about. So it's a pleasure having you here to talk about this new reality that we seem to be closely or very quickly rather approaching. But as I like to do with all my SEO guests, I like to ask them how they got into SEO in the first place. So with that said, how did you venture into becoming an SEO professional?
So about me, Austin, I am a accidental SEO. I started off my career working as a business analyst, and early 2018, I was inclined into digital marketing, and someone just gave me an internship opportunity to do SEO. And I did that internship. That internship turned into a full time opportunity, and then it's all history. And then there's been no looking back for me.
Would you say you have a favorite area or pillar of SEO?
So I like to call myself as a problem solver. So whether it's your technical on page, off page, I try to look at it at a very holistic level. But if I were to choose my favorite areas, it would be being able to tie SEO initiatives and tactics to tangible business outcomes. Like that's what I'm really good at.
Interesting. So it seems you're very much someone who puts the business first. And I would say you're someone who puts business over SEO. So depending on what the business needs, you then decide what SEO should be provided for the business. Am I right?
Absolutely.
Okay. Your business focused and business first. That's good for especially for this topic today. Now, Google recently had their Google I/O event. Did you watch it? And if you did, what did you think about it?
Well, I think this is a beginning of a new era here with SEO. I think Google is no longer would be called as a search engine. And this is something which they have been aspiring to do for a really long time, where they want to be called as answer engine instead of a search engine. And the first thoughts as every SEO have been, uh, it felt like gloom and doom. But the more I've known, the more I've known and the more I've gotten to know about what and how it works, I think it's some really exciting times ahead.
That is pretty much my sentiment as well. I think this is going to just expand search in a way. I think this will be the biggest change in search that we've ever had. And I think it's bigger than all their algorithms that they've ever produced, because this is an entire shift. It's changing search itself. Users, as in what users will expect, and also how marketers will go about marketing in order to achieve traffic from search engines, i.e., Google specifically. When I saw the event, one of the things that I instantly gravitated to was their explanation of search generative experience. And their whole segment on Google search was just fascinating to me. What are your general thoughts about SGE?
My Even before I share my general thoughts about SGE, Austin, I would like to talk about what I loved with regards to the AI that is being weaved into the entire ecospace, right? Everything
Sure.
around the Google workspace, where there is AI that helps you auto reply in Gmail, immersive view around your Google Maps, the AI prompter within your Google Docs. I think all of these are going to be the key disruptors in the market. And I see a massive adoption with regards to everything being used by people in general. Talking about GSE or the generative experience within search, I think this is something where there is a ton of adoption. Google might see a ton of challenge with regards to adoption here, simply because I think it does not really align with regards to how a person generally searches, right? So what I mean by that is, not everyone is looking for direct style answers. For example, someone's looking for, hey, what are the current scores for the Super Bowl match today, or what's the weather today? So showing generative AI related answers there makes a ton of sense, saves a user a lot of time. He gets his answer, he's satisfied, and which is great. uh, with regards to how things function from a commercial intent, where people are actually looking to transact or buy something via Google, I think this is where things are an entirely different game here, where people, not just people, I don't think personally would be satisfied with just the entire AI approach here, where if someone is to be is if someone is giving me a couple of recommendations with regards to, hey, these are the top tools, products, or services that you should consider, I might still want to take a step or an initiative from my end to actually go out there and figure out, hey, does this even fit, or is it even right for me?
Yeah, it's one of the first things I noticed when I saw the generative experience is that it pushes organic results down, right? So what the user sees is the generative experience. So, and that instantly clicked in my mind that, okay, Google is now, they wanted to change the way people search. And because they shift organic results way down, and mind you, organic results are shifted way down, but paid paid results are not. So all you see now is paid results and then the generative experience. And I think in a couple of cases, you'll have the generative experience and then paid results just below it. But organic is not in the frame at all, right? So you could essentially browse by the generative experience without using the traditional 10 or however many blue links within the SERPs. And my thought was, okay, who does this benefit? Does it benefit? It obviously benefits Google, but does it benefit the user? Do you think overall this would be something that benefits the user?
Right. So one latest update that has happened here, Austin, which I would love to share with the audience here is, uh, right now, everybody who is trying out the beta for GSE right now assumes that the generative AI would actually be implemented across the whole board. And right now, it feels like every query or search term that you're searching for online, there will be a AI version generated for it, which might not entirely be the case. The reason why I say this is because when you compare it with its uh, direct competitor, or what instigated this, which is your ChatGPT. ChatGPT currently, even though it is being weaved into Bing, it takes a ton of resources, and I don't think ChatGPT even has 100 million users right now. This is just an estimation which people have been doing. People have been estimating based on the total number of sessions which ChatGPT has. And now, when you actually compare it to Google, right, there are about 8.5 billion searches which happen every day, which is humongous. And which also means that if Google were to implement AI on a large scale, where every single query would actually have AI, this is going to take a ton of resources for them, and is also going to eat away their ad revenue, right? So the latest insight that I have for the audience here is this is actually going to be there is actually going to be an option here where every time you make a search query, there is going to be a generate button, and it is not going to create the AI prompt until you actually click on that button, which I think is huge for as an
Yeah.
SEO today.
Okay, that is that makes me feel better. I have to say. Okay, so the user almost has to want to use that function in the first place.
Yes.
Okay. For keywords, you mentioned earlier keywords such as like the Super Bowl, wanting to know informational based keywords, right? And seeing the results within the SERPs in the first place. Does that then mean traffic for informational based keywords are pretty much obsolete at this point?
I The way things are going right now, Austin, I do think there is, as a SEO, you should be prepared to see a decline with regards to your informational traffic, simply because the current way GSE is set up, I think it does a pretty fabulous job with regards to answering long tail queries. This was not really the case in the pre AI era, where you would actually, if you were entering a really long tail query, you would have to do a ton of search to actually figure out and get the answer here. But now, in the current scenario, I think Google does a pretty decent job there. My only concern, or my challenge as an SEO right now is with regards to the citations here. uh, I love the way how Bing has implemented this, where every time, uh, even though when you do an informational query, it actually does a very good job at citing the sources here. With Google, there is this additional layer involved where you need to actually click on that expanded view to actually figure out what are the sources from which Google is actually gathering or generating this answer from. And then the next thing is there is no link attached right now, and that means that if that snippet of AI is being triggered, then there is a massive opportunity of traffic being lost there. So yeah.
Hmm. When you mentioned not having a way to click through, right? I immediately start thinking of the news industry or the broadcast industry, and here in the UK, in EU, also there is this battle, or there was this battle between news publishers and also Google specifically, and it got to a point where SEOs within the news publishing industry were very, very concerned. Like, it became a legal issue with EU and Google. Do you think this will be a case where this isolated vertical, or this issue within this isolated vertical, is now widespread across all verticals and all businesses that receive traffic from Google?
So I think this entirely depends on how aggressively Google rolls AI across all search queries right now. But that said, I have been talking to a couple of publisher SEOs, and the sentiment is pretty much the same, where the initial reaction is not so positive, and what they have been doing right now, Austin, is focusing more towards how can we build our community here. So they are trying their best and trying to focus with around how do we build our own community within our website. So they are kind of getting prepared for this loss in traffic, But coming back to answering your question with regards to copyright issues, right? I do think this is a double-edged sword, where if Google does not provide enough incentives to publishers around and just cites all the information but does not actually transfer that traffic onto them, they'd be lesser incentivized to actually create unique content and allow search engines to actually crawl that content, right?
And imagine how that will affect. So this will affect marketers, right? Marketers will change their behavior. Imagine how that will affect Google and specifically users. So, for example, if users are not getting the results that they really like from Google, what is the first thing they'll be thinking of doing? Using another search engine, right? They'll think, okay, results from Google's not as good as it used to be. Let me try something else, Bing. Let me try, if I'm doing a bit of shopping, there's no need to go into Google anymore. I could just stick with Amazon. If I'm on TikTok, I'll do my search on TikTok. And have you noticed, I'm not sure if you use TikTok or not, or browse TikTok or not, but I've noticed for many months now, TikTok have been promoting people to not promoting, sorry, not prompting people to search. So within their search capabilities, even within videos, they have a feature where they show a certain term that's related to the video or a trend, and it seems as though they also want to enter the search space. So all of this combined, right, is leading into this great big shift, and it's a shift that particularly has Google under threat. I think they have the biggest reason to worry about all of this, because it's going to potentially, I'm very confident that it will affect their market share, i.e. they'll lose some of their market share. Are you anticipating a big drop in Google's market share, or do you think it'll be insignificant?
I personally think, Austin, that it's a battle of discovery, where every platform right now is trying to ensure or capture a user's attention. They want to be the point of contact where user discovers new products, services, and all of that. There was this really interesting stat that I came across earlier. And what that stat entailed was, while all these platforms like TikTok, uh, Amazon, and all of them, while they are showing these new products, services, and all of that, especially with regards to TikTok, the amount of people who actually end up buying is still way less as compared to someone who would buy via email or directly from Google, right? The numbers here are sky and day. So that is something which makes me feel like Google still has that moat to protect, where if they are still able to ensure that the discovery engine is on point, where people are actually able to find meaningful stuff and solutions for their problems, I think they still got some kind of shot left for them.
Okay, so informational based queries will pretty much be not an area for businesses to optimize for anymore, because it doesn't have much commercial value at all anymore. Where does this leave other types of keywords? So commercial keywords, do you think that's going to increase, or will that stay as it is, or will it also decrease?
I think there will definitely be a heavy more people would be more incentivized to create content around commercial intent keywords. But that said, Austin, I would not disregard your informational keywords entirely here, simply because even though Google does a good job with regards to showing them on their snippets currently, I still think that they would still Google would still need inputs from people, where they are trying to get first responses onto search. So when I say first responses here, I'm referring to what is that unique experience or initial experience that a searcher had while using a product. What does that review about that service look like? Or what is that something new insight that someone has that they could probably share with a first time reader? So this is something, these are things which might not really be, these are things which the LLM models will still heavily depend on creators. So I think there's still room for informational queries.
Okay. What about rankings then? Is rankings going to be a thing anymore? How are you anticipating rankings to change? Because now it seems everything is universal rankings.
Right. So honestly, I'm not very sure about rankings, or even, as a matter of fact, search volume as a metric, right? Uh, as SEOs, we've always been complaining that we do not have enough data as compared to PPC or any other marketing channel. And right now, the way things are, rankings kind of feel insignificant. If you rank, it would only make you would only be incentivized if you're in that AI snippet, or ranking somewhere in the top three search results. Anything beyond that is trying to look for a dead body. So I'm not so optimistic about or excited about being ranking in page two or page three right now. So I do think, Austin, that Google would have to come up with new metrics to help us SEOs understand how can we assess our website performance better. Uh, if we do X, this would read Y. Like, we need those things for us to actually do these website performance to actually assess website performance better. And I do see a Google Search Console facelift coming soon, but that's just me being optimistic.
I can see that as well. It's something that's going to change a lot. Well, the entire reporting of SEO will also have to change with this new reality. I am very interested to know how external tools, especially those focused on rankings, will react to this change, because it drastically changes. Like you indicated, there's no point optimizing if you're not going to be at least within the top three results or organic results. And it seems now the goal will be to optimize to be featured within the generative experience area of search, if you like. And that to me is it's extremely controversial, especially when you think of it in terms of, okay, as in, let's say I am a head of marketing, right, or head of digital and digital performance, and I'm looking at this upcoming change. I'm looking at PPC and I'm looking at SEO. Surely the safe bet would be to add more budget to PPC and take away the budget from SEO. What are your thoughts around that?
I do hear you here, Austin, and I see where that sentiment is coming from. But once pure generative AI is actually implemented, the decline in traffic, I think, is something which everybody is looking forward to. But that said, more traffic does not really mean more business generally, and it's more to do with regards to your conversion rates. And I am hoping that all these window shoppers that were actually making our traffic numbers look really good in the past would actually would actually reduce to a lot extent, and the people who actually do end up landing on the website via organic would have really high intent and are just looking to put in their credit card details. So this would be one thing that I feel would incentivize higher management to actually invest in SEO. And with regards to reporting, that's still, I think that is still a bit of gray area with regard to how do we actually show the true value of SEO to your higher stakeholders. How is attribution going to even be a thing? Like, can we actually prove our value? So these are questions that I don't think we still have an answer to.
Yeah, it's all up in the air until SGE is released widespread. From a time frame point of view, going by their testing, so right now it's released in the US for testing, and I think it will spread to other markets within, let's say, weeks to just a few months, right? So time frame wise, I think the generative experience will be around before Google's next I/O event. So we're looking at this being released publicly within a year. So that's my thinking around this. And this already leads me to think, okay, so within a year, users will need to change, well, not need to, but their the way of searching will change. Google will need to make adjustments as far as their tools and reporting are concerned, and marketers will need to make changes their end as well. And all of this is within 1 year. That's a very short time frame. Do you think that's enough time for users, marketers, and search engines to get used to the change, or is it something that you think will take slightly longer to roll out?
I think it might take slightly longer for the entire thing to be normalized and people to be accustomed to it, Austin. And where I'm coming from is more to do with regards to user feedback rate. I think Google is closely going to keep a watch with regards to how are people engaging on search results? Are they staying longer? Is their ad revenue going to be impacted? Are people are people dropping off? So these are questions which Google would stay on their toes, trying to figure things out. And they, as usual, they would be implementing these micro changes and rolling them out. But I definitely think it's going to take more than 12 months. And from our perspective, it's all going to be learn and adapt. So pretty excited.
So if you were to, from your point of view, how would you say SEOs prepare and also prepare their clients or brands that they work on for this upcoming reality?
So one way to be prepared about this, Austin, would be to actually doing a CTR curve analysis where you are actually mapping out all the current search features that are present at the moment, and what is the current traffic that you are getting right now, and doing a forecasting where you say, hey, based on the generative AI features, assuming that maybe 20% or 30% of the people actually end up using generative AI for these search queries, there might be a decline with regards to the entire search demand, right? People actually get their answers within the generative AI, so nobody's actually going to land on your website for those queries. So doing that math and actually communicating this to the stakeholders that, hey, we are still on top with regards to our SEO initiatives. Our revenue might still not see a decline, but it's rather going to increase going forward. Traffic is something which was never a core metric for us as SEOs. It was something that just been a metric that we've always boasted about. So yeah.
This is a big change for a senior person within the business, right? I mean, because they're used to the typical SEO rhetoric of rankings, traffic, right? They, from a non-SEO point of view, they just think SEO is very simplified in that manner, and that's because of the way we SEOs have almost, like, if you like, influenced them to think of the channel. We're now asking them to make this massive change in mindset, which we also do not yet know how it's going to shape out, right? So it's a big change for businesses. Is it something, do you think this should be an area where SEOs are concerned and start to say SEO is dead, especially with the whole, I mean, with ChatGPT and AI as a whole? There was this rhetoric that SEO jobs are going to be extinct. Do you have this sentiment, or are you more on the positive side of this change?
I only think that the Pope, after the Pope, SEO is the second thing that has been dead or has been declared dead the most.
Yeah.
That said, I think SEOs still have a job in place. While the format might change dramatically, I do foresee as SEOs focusing a lot more on video right now, because I do see the general consensus or people transitioning more towards a video content consumption format as opposed to written content. So
Mhm.
that is something which we might still be required. Our job roles might change slightly, but it's going to be a lot more with regards to figuring out, uh, as an SEO, if you've been doing SEO for a while, your biggest thing to do right now would be to unlearn a lot of things and put yourself as a beginner and learn a lot of new stuff. So if you are open to it, I don't think you are going to be extinct. Your jobs are pretty much intact, and people who do end up learning and adapting to this change, I do see them being much more invaluable, and the amount of impact that you are going to drive is going to be a lot more significant and provide a ton more value to the team.
Yeah. It's interesting you mentioned video being the default way that, or the default format of content that users now expect. I completely agree. I've thought about it for months, and I've seen the change of where people, they don't necessarily want to read information anymore. They want to see it, and the best visual way of consuming information is with video. With apps like TikTok, for example, it's trained people, users, to expect a video answer to their results. This, in my opinion, is also why the search on TikTok has increased, and why TikTok is pushing people to search on TikTok. And all of this ties nicely into the whole idea of Google moving more into entities, focusing on entities rather than the traditional way of finding, crawling sites. Is this now a case of the way Google seeks information is going to change? So what I mean by this is, if AI, if the generative experience uses content that websites or publishers have produced, is it a case of the AI is looking for that unique entity, or a specific entity that they know and trust to produce unique content in order to show it to users? So a site like Wikipedia, IMDb, Google knows of them via various means, but they know of them as an entity, right? Is it a case of Google will be looking for entities in that manner with sites like, or in the style of Wikipedia, IMDb, Wikidata, as opposed to the traditional way of finding sites?
I do think there is this shift that is going to happen, Austin, where sites which have been authoritative or synonymous for a particular niche, like you mentioned, IMDb for movies, Ahrefs for SEO. So there are these market leaders or players within every single niche out there,
Mm.
and Google is going to is going to show this preferential treatment on SERPs for these domains, and which also brings us to the next layer. Like, how do you become a market leader? It's all going to be more with regards to your links are going to make a entry again here, where backlinks are going to be more important than ever. And yeah,
I think in a similar way. I think the whole idea of content and backlinks being a highly important aspect, especially backlinks, is going to be forefront once again in SEO. I think technical is going to take a backseat, and content and links will be forefront within SEO. Where do you think this then leads? Let's say a new brand or a new business, right? Let's say a new business within retail, right? They're not one of the big brands that Google already knows of. What are the chances then that they have to be within top visibility of the search, whether it's organic or within the generative experience?
great question, Austin. So the way I think about it right now is, if you are a new or a challenger brand who's trying to make name for themselves out there, uh, Google is going. The only way that you could make that spot out there is actually by having your first response content on your website. When I say first response content, I'm referring to all. I'm going to be reiterating my example that I stated earlier, which is your unique experiences that you have, that or the knowledge that you have with regards to how do you do XYZ, which is probably not available within your competitors' sites. Like, what has been these? What are these reviews or experiences that people have had using a particular product, service? So these things would still have a ton of value, and Google would love to show them, regardless of how much authority a site has built over the time.
Hmm. Yeah, it's going to be a strange one, especially for sites that traditionally haven't been focused on branding. I'm thinking of affiliates right now. I think when I think of affiliates businesses, the sites that perform the best are those that focus on branding. Think of Money Supermarket, Money Saving Experts. You know, those sites, and even sites like I think confused.com within the insurance space. They focus more on branding, and because of that, they perform very well, or someone say as a correlation to that, they perform very well in the SERPs. I think SEOs will have to have branding forefront of their mindset, especially if they want to have a high visibility in the SERPs. The idea of keywords is an area that I'm also quite interested in to see, not necessarily from a ranking performance point of view, but from a value point of view. If Google are now focusing on things or entities, are keywords essentially going to be entities that SEOs focus on rather than the traditional way of looking at keywords? What are your thoughts on how keywords or the value of keywords will be affected?
I think there was there was this article which Google recently published, Austin, and it was to do with regards to them acknowledging to the fact that they do consider topical authority as a ranking factor or a signal, and that just proves our point with regards to entities. So this entities and things where it cannot just be your traditional keyword research. You would have to look at it from a point of entities where you're trying to figure out what are the different attributes which is relevant to your business, and are you able to cover all of those attributes within within your website to ensure that Google even considers you as a market leader or a thought leader amongst that niche.
Okay, big question then. How does Google then acknowledge entities or discover entities? Is it going to be via the traditional way? Because I'm thinking, actually, to answer my own question, guy, because I'm thinking them discovering or acknowledging entities will be very much forefront, will be very much the way they've done so traditionally from an SEO point of view via backlinks, links. But now it's slightly different because it's not just a case of finding backlinks, it's understanding the entities and the entities linking to that entity. It's going to be very fascinating, very, very fascinating. What if from a discoverability point of view, how would you say Google will prefer to discover entities?
Uh, I think from a discoverability point of view, I still think, Austin, that your links are the links was how your web was created. And that is something I still believe would be the way Google discovers how these entities are placed and where they're coming from. While I've also changed my theory slightly here in the recent times, where if something or you where your social signals also play a role with regards to these entities being discovered. If something is going viral on social media or is the talk of the town, I there is a much higher probability that Google is going to discover these entities through this as well.
Mm. Yeah, I think it'll be a quite a mix of links and citations. Because I'm thinking also from offline point of view, if something big is happening offline, as you mentioned on social, there'll be a lot of talk around it, which wouldn't necessarily have links to it or about it, but Google will acknowledge it as entities being very much prominent. Oh, this is fascinating. The way things are going to shape out in the coming months is very, very interesting to me. Overall, do you think then that this new paradigm, this new reality, is going to be a win or a loss for businesses online?
I do think, Austin, that this is still going to be a win for businesses online. Brand, like you just mentioned, the branding was a really great point. Businesses would have to focus a lot more with regards to branding, and branding is something which is directly correlated to your customer acquisitions. So I think businesses which actually sell a product or service are going to be unaffected with all these changes that are happening with AI. While the traffic might decline in the short term, from a revenue point of view, I don't think there's something that they'd have to be concerned about. But however, niches such as your publishers, affiliate sites, they may be impacted by these changes. And this is something which they've already realized, and they've started to look for different avenues or opportunities that they can monetize on. So this is just one thing that might hamper their growth in the short term, but I do think businesses are going to still flourish.
Hmm. Yeah, I agree. I think this is an expansion. It's a change, a massive change, but the change will bring about expansion, not contraction. And from an SEO point of view, I see it creating even more challenges. I'm very excited because I think it also will. I think this will be one of the ways that non-SEOs begin to, if you like, acknowledge or consider SEO the way as a channel, the way they do social media. And that's an area I'm very keen on. I'm looking forward to the day. I'm looking forward to the day where people regard SEO, talk about SEO, use SEO the way they do social media. And I think this will be one of the ways that it happens. Final words then, Aatif. What would you like businesses and SEOs to take away from this generative experience that we're going to have within search in the coming months?
In the coming months, Austin, I think businesses, one takeaway that I'd have for them would be to be a bit more flexible with regards to the revenue or OKRs that are expected from an SEO. Simply because I feel that while these changes are happening, there might be some turbulences with regards to all your marketing metrics and revenue, and not to cut things off instantly, where squeezing budgets out or or uh, reducing budgets for a particular channel. I think that would put you do much more harm for you guys than the positives. And for an SEO, the only thing that I can request or a takeaway that I have for you is to keep your mind open with regards to everything that you know about SEO so far. Be open to learning and relearning things. There is a lot of testing that you would have to do going forward. Not everything that you do is going to be a heavy hitter, and be open to experimenting and figuring things out.
Yeah, I have a similar sentiment, especially around the keeping your mindset open to learning and relearning things. It's for me, it's one of the reasons why I remain in SEO within marketing overall, because it's so fascinating. There is so much to learn that you can never really run out of if you like, a love or passion for SEO if you are an SEO. Atif, thank you so much for your time today. You've provided some awesome food for thoughts, and I'm sure a lot of people will resonate with what you've said today. Where can people find you online?
I'm pretty active on LinkedIn. You can search for Aatif Mohd and you would find me there. And yeah, you could also reach out to me via my website. I can drop my links below.
Yes, please. Yeah, if you send across the link, I'll add it to the description of this video. Brilliant. Thanks a lot, Aatif. Have a brilliant day, and we'll catch up again another time.
I had a lovely conversation talking to you, Austin. I hope the audience enjoys this as well. Thank you so much for your time too.
Cheers, Aatif. Cheers. Bye now.